Have you ever felt broken? In this video, I'm going to be discussing the reasons that we can feel broken and why we never need to be fixed. Hi guys, my name's Fern Lulham. I'm a motivational speaker, and on this channel I give you practical strategies and tips to help you improve your mental and emotional health in any situation. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Today I want to talk about this idea of being broken. There are so many ways in modern day society that we can feel broken inside ourselves, emotionally, mentally, physically, because we're all comparing ourselves to ideals. Everyone wants to be like everyone else, and nobody truly feels that they can match up to other people. Speaking as someone who has a disability, I can honestly say that I've had many times in my life where I felt broken, where I felt like I could never be as good as other people because there's a part of me that physically doesn't work as well as other people. I've had this conversation with my parents and friends so many times about when you walk into a store where there are so many products who aren't broken, who don't have cracks or scratches or parts missing from them, why would you choose the product that has something wrong with it? Why, in other words, would you choose me? I felt like I could never live up to other people's standards. I just didn't perform as well as everybody else who has the same criteria as me, because there's a part of me that can't do as well as other people. There's a part of me that's damaged in some way. I am registered blind, and as I've spoken about before on this channel, I'm terrified of people finding that out, for the fact that what if they're just about to buy me? What if they've looked at me and they've seen all the good qualities in me and they think, wow, this is the product that I need. And then they turn me over and they see a mark, something that they don't actually like about me. And of course, straight away, I feel like I'm going to be put back on the shelf and they're just going to replace me with something that hasn't got that blemish, that hasn't got that problem with it. And all of a sudden, I was so close to getting love, I was so close to getting everything I wanted, and in a heartbeat, I've just been rejected. And why? Because I'm broken. This idea is one of the key reasons why when I talk about the things that make us different on the surface, I talk about it in terms of mental and emotional health. To me, when other people are looking in, they can see those issues in a completely different way, in a very practical way, our struggles with life and the things that we find hard on a very physical and practical level. However, this idea of feeling broken is something on an emotional level. It's something that gets under our skin, and for me, it's the biggest hurdle to having a disability, having any kind of insecurity, that it makes me feel weak and it makes me feel like there's something wrong with me. This is something that so many of us can relate to. We don't need to have disabilities or conditions to have this issue. So many of us are feeling broken all of the time. Fixed to us is perfection. Fixed to us is unattainable. Fixed to us is everyone else around who has a more successful life than us, or at least our idea of a more successful life, because that's the way we perceive them to be. But of course, the reality is that everyone's a little bit broken. Everyone has something about them that they don't like quite as much as everything else. Everybody has that thing, whether it's internally, whether it's externally, mental, emotional, physical, sensory, whatever it is, we're all a little bit broken. If we look hard enough at those items in any store, there'll be something that isn't quite right with them, because nothing is perfect. I often see posts online saying, don't forget, disability isn't just the things you can see, sometimes it's the things you can't see. Trying to remind people that just because it's not on the surface, people are still struggling. However, that's kind of flipped on its head and reversed when we look at people and we say, well, they're perfect. I've got something obviously wrong with me, but they're just fine. You don't know what's going on inside. And disability doesn't just have to be a condition. Sometimes attitudes are completely disabling, or behaviours, or mindsets, or the way we interact with other people. All of these things can create flaws in us. All of these things can make us seem broken. It is extremely dangerous for us to see ourselves as broken objects, because as soon as we start down that path, we see ourselves as less than, as not good enough, and we start contracting anxiety and depression and letting that critical inner voice win us over, telling ourselves that we're never going to meet the mark. I can 100% speak from experience when I say this. I have felt like I'm nothing. I have felt like that toy on the shelf that never gets played with because a part of it doesn't work anymore. It is devastating. It is something that you can't do anything about. It's something you can't run away from, and it's a real fear that you will never be enough for somebody else. I'm not saying that this is a battle that we can just overcome. I think it's something that we'll always be fighting with, because we'll just have those down days where we feel broken. However, one of the things that highlights how ridiculous this idea to me is when other people who perceive themselves to have problems say to me, "But I'm normal. I know I have this, but I'm actually normal," and they're trying to convince me that they're not broken, that they're full, complete people. And when they're people that you care about, when they're people that you think the world of, it just sounds ludicrous, because of course they're normal. Of course they're complete, whole, amazing people. They're people that you aspire to be like. They're people who inspire you on a daily basis. And the idea of them having to try and convince you that they're enough is just madness. So often I think with these emotional issues, it's hard to see it in ourselves until we see it in somebody else and see how crazy it is that they have that mindset, the mindset that we also share, and that they probably feel in reverse when we tell them things like that ourselves. I get it all the time. When I'm out at events coaching, when I'm speaking to people one-on-one, and when I'm in my personal everyday life with people that I love and care about, when they come to me and say, "I am normal, I am enough, I want to try and convince you that I'm not broken," it makes me want to cry, because it just highlights to me how low they've been made to feel, or how low they feel inside themselves. That they're not enough just the way they are, and that they have to make a case for themselves just to be considered as an equal. It's a really difficult thing to see somebody else going through. We all know how difficult it is to try and convince somebody that they're amazing, or that they're enough just the way they are, or that they're how we see them instead of how they view themselves. This is relevant to me on a very personal level, because being registered blind, I'm often asked, "What can you see?" And I ask other people, "Well, what can you see?" The trouble is that we're all seeing a different reality. Somebody describing the world to me to try and help me to see it can be the same concept as me trying to explain to them the person I see them as, and all of the things that I see that they have to offer that they simply couldn't even imagine what that might look like. They might never have been able to experience that way of seeing themselves. And in that way, I honestly believe that we can all be far more blind to our own worth than we ever even realize. The truth is that when we compare ourselves to other people, we will always see cracks in ourselves. And the main reason for that is because we're seeing them on this pedestal. They've already got a head start because our mindset of them, our perception of them is already heightened to what we feel to ourselves. So anything that they have on top of that is just a bonus. It's just another thing we can flog ourselves with and tell ourselves that we're never going to be as good as them. Now, undeniably, something like disability can obviously highlight this. It's unfortunately something that we can easily pinpoint and target and say, well, this part of me just doesn't work as well as everyone else, therefore I must be broken, I must be wrong. However, that same part of us might make us emotionally strong, or strong in areas and able to do things that other people couldn't even imagine having the strength to do. This is where we must remember that just because we can't see those areas, it doesn't mean they're not there. Different doesn't equal broken. It's a non sequitur. I'm different, therefore I'm broken. No. In fact, sometimes differences are the things that create the most amazing discoveries in the world. People expect something to turn out just the way it always has, but it has this quirk that makes it even better. It has this difference which might inspire the birth of an entirely new product, which might be just as good as everything else. It just works a little bit differently. Listen. Ultimately, I wouldn't be here if there weren't ways we could mentally and emotionally improve ourselves, if there weren't ways we could develop in our lives to be stronger and better people. That's one of the whole points of my channel, and it's what I talk about all of the time. However, there are some parts of our lives which we can't change, which are just meant to be there. It doesn't mean that we've been created wrong, it's just the way that we're meant to be. We're meant to have that quirk, we're meant to have that uniqueness. That is how we were supposed to be. Therefore, we are not broken, we are just fully us. We all need to work together on this one to stop hating on ourselves for who we are. Because, as the old saying goes, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. As always, I want to hear from you. What is it that makes you feel broken, and how do you overcome that feeling? Do you have certain strategies or things that you put in place to help you feel like you are full and that you are complete? What do you do? Let me know in the comments below, and I'd love to join that discussion. And hey, give this video a thumbs up if you feel that nobody should believe that they're broken. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to learn more about our mental and emotional challenges and how we can work every day in order to overcome them, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a thing. Thanks for watching, and enjoy your day as though it were a big warming bowl of soup on a blustery afternoon. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye! Have you ever felt and to help you in this idea of being broken? Speaking as somebody where I felt that, and this is some I think for me one of the biggest it's just this kind of It has this difference which click. Bye. Bye.